It's a fact, you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we watch The West Wing and break it down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate companion, and a man who isn't afraid to get censured by Congress, Killian Collins. I came up with that one on the fly.
That's a pretty good one on the fly. I mean, I still gotta say, but yeah, Tim. Yeah, good to see you. Oh shit, sorry, I'm keep messing with the sound a little bit. Not like I should be doing that. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now we pause it. All right. Yeah, sorry.
This is how the sausage gets made, folks.
This is how the sausage gets made, and it's like not always pretty. But we're going to keep it going down the line. I mean, that's honestly, man, the whole thing's been a little kerfuffled. I had some technology problems. I was going to watch this last episode as I was updating my iPhone, which you have to like leave plugged in and, you just can't use it for like 40 minutes. And then my PlayStation took a crap and I had to reinitialize it, which at this point I've done over 24 times because I need to get a new system, but it's
time for you to get a PS5.
It is time.
The world is telling you.
The world is telling me it, but it's also like trying to get married too. This shit is like the wedding industry. God damn you! Like what a hellhole! Like what a hellhole! I mean, seriously. Like I mean, it's times like this. I wish I was just like, well, can I just get like have this whole like arranged thing just like happen and just, or else we just go down to the courthouse straight up and just do it here. But there's a whole lot of red tape. I do give people some sympathy because like I was getting pressurized to be like, well, no, like weddings, you just have to do it. And it's like, yeah, you'd think you would think you could just like do it that day, like you like in Vegas, but what turns out when you actually grill people on like, if you want to really do that, they don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, by my people, I mean, lady friends.
I mean, yeah.
But anyway, Tim, away from that bit, away from that little boys club and into the West Wing Boys Club, episode 10 of season 3. We
speaking of boys club, it's very like dark smoky room vibes as we open with like Leo and some lawyers and his lawyer all in like a underground room.
Yeah.
At the Capitol.
Yeah. Starting off, yeah. And a lot of these scenes, and I'll get to this in a little bit, they really are going for their like little like noir bad guy things.
They really are.
Like I'll get to that later with Cliff. But yeah, we have Leo and his attorney walking. I thought it was Margaret at first. I crossed that out. Walk in to talk with some committee members, and they argue about some petty shit about like, what are those armed guards doing outside? That's what his attorney's arguing. Why is this place under armed guard? And it's like, well, it's for protection and yada yada. It's like, it's like intimidating to us. Like, make them wait at the end of the hall, like where it's like, okay, just like this petty.
Well, and we've seen Leo do the exact maneuver Jordan is talking about, right? Where he literally used like Pentagon guard, like uniformed military guards to intimidate like a political appointee.
Yeah.
Remember back in like the whole Let Bartlett be Bartlett thing where they wanted an election commissioner to vote their way?
Yeah.
You like brought him in and had like a military guy like playing with his gun outside his door.
It's like, I'm a powerful man. I mean,
I'm a powerful man.
I can shoot you in the face if I really want to. I can make him, like raid your house with drones and all this stuff, and you'll have no way of knowing or any of this shit. Like, hey, I can say that by like the snap of my fingers, just because I don't like you.
Oh, and an apology to like our 3 listeners. I am a little bit under the weather, so you will be hearing some coughing and sniffling from my end. But
You hear that, feds?
Podcasting waits for no man. So.
You hear that, feds? You got to shift through his stuff. And honestly, if the Palestinians are going to be going through that, we can go through a little bit of cold and a little bit of delay and a little bit of technological problems. That's like no problem at all. But basically this little committee is basically trying to get at Leo that the whole reason he's there is to let him know that, oh yeah, you know why we stopped the committee, like, you know why we stopped that last time, because we knew who was going to question you next, and we know what incident he was going to bring up, which was the relapse that Leo had, that the flashback that he had in the last episode.
Right. And the Republicans are stupid for this. They really are. They're like, we're not going to go after Abby for being like a literal criminal doctor. We're not going to we're not going to reveal that the chief of staff has like fallen off the wagon way more recently than anyone realizes, which we'll get into that later too.
Because Sorkin needed to ride his way out of this one quicker.
The storyline wanted out, and then Leo was a little bitch about it too. He also like wrote Leo to be like a dumb little bitch in this episode, where he's like, a censure for my boss? No.
Where it's like, yeah, like every other weasel would have done that, which is just, it's this big white knight story that's like a total fucking fiction, where it's like, hey, like this government worker, would you throw your boss under the bus? They'd be like,
right,
fuck yeah.
It's like, well, it's one rich old white dude white knighting for another rich old white dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's the type of story you just would never write today. I don't think.
No. What line does he leave with? I take a bullet for the president.
He doesn't take one for me.
Yeah.
And then like there's the whole thing, like Jordan's whole role in this episode is to point out like how stupid the stakes are.
Yeah.
It's a very weirdly written episode. We'll get into that more later, I think.
With Leo basically being like, I don't snitch. You know, I'm a G from the street. And it's like, well, Leo, you're not on the street. This isn't Leo. This is not Vietnam. This is the White House. This is the White House.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do this. Then Sam is in this meeting with the whole staff in the Roosevelt room, talking about.
Speaking of stupid little bitches, Sam is here.
Yes, the king of the Nothing Burger storylines this season. Sam Cedar, or I was gonna call him Sam Cedar, but yeah. I basically have here that he keeps mentioning his war room downstairs, which I keep thinking is his penis that he's referring to. It's like, you want to come down to my war room and I'll do that thing I learned. I do that. I'll do this thing I learned from the first episode. He's got dossiers on everybody, so.
Yeah, like they're reading. Some White House photographer has written a tell-all book about how fucked up the Bartlett White House is, and Sam wants to refute it line by line.
Yeah,
in front of the American public.
Pretty much like a Fire and Fury like type of book, where it's like an inside look that's like all bad about how bad the White House staff looks, but it's also like, who even cares at this point?
Yeah.
Like, for fuck's sake.
Well, and also, like, some of the shit that they read is just, like, A, kind of funny, and B, pretty accurate, where it's like, oh, Toby is, like, the grumpy, mumbly communications officer with the heart of gold. And it's like, I mean, that's kind of true.
Yeah, right. It seems like they kind of had, like, nothing to write with this episode either, where it's like, oh, they need to have some, like, quippy things to say about it, and they're just like, I got nothing. Like,
right. Well, if they really wanted to make this book a threat, they would have been like, "Oh yeah, Sam Seaborn regularly consorts with hookers. Oh yeah, Toby Ziegler totally committed insider trading that one time and met with the president to cover it up." Like, those are the kind of stories you would tell if you really wanted to make this administration look bad.
Yeah. Speaking of fireable offenses, Toby and Josh talk about Josh and Toby basically have girl talk about Amy, about how much Josh likes Amy, like a little girl, and they keep trying to suggest issues that they have tabled pretty much.
Right.
They're just trying to like use so he can bring up again to talk to her.
This episode came out 22 years ago.
Yeah.
I just found it like honestly, yes, the whole conversation itself is pretty grim, but like the most depressing thing about it is that 22 years ago they were like, "Oh, we're studying paid family leave, but we're going to make that happen real soon." And it's like, nope, 22 years later, that is still something neoliberals are willing to like jettison. And like that's something that they're still waving in front of our heads.
Oh yeah.
That, like, oh yeah, we'll give you paid family leave any fucking year now.
But secretly, we like our donors also.
It's never gonna. Yeah, it's never gonna.
Our donors
happen.
also want you to be this desperate to like
exactly
to work all the time. That like they want you to be on the precipice of always failing. Like they have no intention, and that's the horrible part about this whole like capitalism system is that like, well, there's going to be a glut, and your dollar's going to be worth less and less and less and less and less, and there's going to be a crisis, and you're going to pay the brunt end of it again, and it keeps on going around in a circle. Time is a flat circle. Anyway, speaking of flat circle, they suggest paid family leave to go and have that be the issue of why Josh goes to talk to her in person instead of over the phone. The president Charlie talk about Charlie's got presents the president with a topographical map of Palestine. They call it the Holy Land, but it is a topographical map of like the Jerusalem, Palestine area. And he is just like and that is from like 1709. So like no like 48 border, no 49 border, nothing like that. Like and topographical too. So just like pretty much strictly like a geographical nerd type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So really just like of course like he like like Martin Sheen just being like, ooh, just an old man nerdy about it. And then Leo and the attorney argue about his quick departure, about his storming out of the little meeting, and then she lists a bunch of resolutions. And,
right. Well, like,
and Leo says, "I don't rat."
They do this throughout the episode, where like they try to use the censure as like, all right, this censure is like the only relevance that Sorkin is going to be able to give the entire MS storyline.
Yeah.
He wants to jettison it, but he also wants to have it some relevance, and having the president be censured by Congress is like the only consequence he can come up with. And then at the same time, over and over and over again, they're also mentioning what a meaningless fucking act being censured by Congress actually is.
Right. Like,
it has no weight of authority of law. It's like Leo's like, oh no, the president will never recover from being censured by Congress.
To which Josh is at the end is like, really? And he's like, yeah, it happened to Andrew Jackson, and Josh is like, oh, I don't remember him for like that at all. Like,
yeah, no, we remember him from like killing all those Indians, not from like being censured by Congress
and killing a national bank because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like none of that was why he was sent. Like, yeah, he wasn't censured for being like a fucking genocider. He was censured because of the bank shit.
Well, yeah, but political opposition, and that's all this shit is too. But even less precedent. Like at least in those days, I could be like, well, you're getting rid of the national bank. You're a fucking moron. Like, you obviously don't like. Whatever. Moving on.
Sam is a little child who needs everyone to know that he does stuff. Like he's talking to Toby, and he's like, Toby, I need a list of all the stuff that is wrong about this book. And Toby is like what? And he's like, there was a meeting, and this book says we were sent out of a meeting while the president had a serious conversation about Latin America. We weren't sent out of that meeting, Toby. We were writing an education speech, and he was waiting for a call to connect. Okay, we do stuff around here.
And Toby's saying like, yeah, well, we don't have time to call out every single little bogus detail that they're trying to like make up on the fly because they're trying to sell a fucking book that's scandalous.
Yeah. Oh, and then we get, I think the next scene is the first time it's mentioned that Bartwood Kansas plays Mab.
Because they say because of the Jewish lobby, or do they
Yeah.
directly say the? Because I kept thinking Israel.
He
lobby,
says
Israel lobby.
they don't say the word Israel lobby. They just say some people are going to be offended because it doesn't recognize Israel.
So specifically the Israel lobby, like.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what's up, right? Like
at this point, but I mean, you'd be surprised some of these motherfuckers, but. So these motherfuckers, like this guy, these people at Whole Foods. Foods can be, the word. I imagine that place is like pretty bad right now, but glad I'm not there. Whatever. Bye, Whole Foods. Bye, Bezos. Then we have Donna and Josh are also like the fact that the whole staff is like in on him, like Josh trying to get in, like, and get a little like no one has said to him like, dude, like, do you really
some actual work? Like, you are like literally devoting a huge amount of resources of the federal government to like trying to get laid. And
right,
it's kind of a problem.
It's kind of ridiculous when it's like, but yeah, she calls and he sets up a date with her at 11 o'clock at the Ritz after her date, which honestly sounds like
right. Like even that would have been like my like, oh, okay, you know what? Never mind. I can send you an email about this. We'll talk later.
Really? And it's like, no, she wants me to come up to her hotel at the Ritz after her doesn't work out with her date, which is like, yeah, strange. Attorney tries to get Leo to reason.
Right. Well, all right. Like, this is also kind of weird because like Jordan previously has been like propped up as like, oh, here's this ultra high powered Washington attorney. She's one of the best, and that's why she works for Leo. She doesn't have anything better. She's literally just like sitting on his couch for like what I have to imagine is like hours that morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't you have like other shit to do than just like hang out in this guy's office all day?
Don't you have other cases involving
other clients? Like you can just sit there reading a fucking like comically large book of resolutions.
Don't you have like a a firm to take care of that you're either like a partner of or you're working to be a partner of or something like. But hey, that's a lot of these characters is just like and
the entire world revolves around the Oval. I mean, yes, fine. The West Wing is an important place, but like
it is,
but like. Yeah, come on now.
It's not the center of the universe. It's a place. It's a place where a lot of spin about a lot of general stuff happens.
Yes,
I'll admit that. I can give you that, and their role in that spin like does affect like world events and world politics. It can affect that, but most of the things they're doing are not that entirely. Like most of the time they're arguing about it, but it's like. It's not that all every single time, but like there are times they're in there making decisions, but not all.
Usually bad ones,
yeah, especially bad ones, mostly bad ones, especially like where Josh runs out, and as soon as Josh runs out to like get to his 11th Ritz booty call, Donna takes a shady call from what I call here like the bad boy drug dealer Cliff. Because like this is like the entire vibe of this.
Yeah.
It's just like
I do have to say, I had a big I'm a child. And I don't know how intentional this is, but there is a moment where Donna is talking to Cliff and she was like, I can't be out here at night deep throating. I had to laugh.
Dude, I know there was a lot of that there.
I don't know how intentional that was. Knowing Sorkin, it was probably somewhat intentional. And
there's like there's this sexual undertone that's like there the whole time because it's like
they've fucked before. These two people have fucked before, also. Like,
right, where it's just like I'm not sure if I can get out here. Well, he doesn't need to know that you're out here right now. Like
come to the law library and deep throat with me.
And the fact they meet up at the library for like the porn scene, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
Well, that's also where Sam would always meet his hooker friend too. So like, I think
yeah, what the
maybe
fuck?
Sorkin maybe does have some like psychosexual shit wrapped up in libraries.
He's like, oh, my best times were at the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, CJ asked the president about like some dumb rumor in the book that he wanted a son, and he's like, "No, like whatever."
Yeah, no, it was like, yeah. Did you start wearing different special underwear in order to have a child? And it's like, Mitt Romney was not elected, so we avoided presidents wearing special underwear in the Oval Office.
Yeah, and then CJ brings up that you can't hang up the Palestine map because the Israel lobby is going to get mad about it. To which the president's just like, well, just point out it's an old fucking map, which I'd be like, exactly. That's exactly what I would point out too. It's an old map. You don't have to acknowledge
an old map
because Israel wasn't there. And it's like, you can stay away from that whole thing, but you can't do that because then you'd actually have to talk about the history.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to talk about that.
They don't want to talk about the history.
No.
I think this is where, Bartlett has the line, I'm gonna blow it up and have it put on the front of my limo, which would be pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I would dig that if he becomes like the Milwaukee guy who has like all this like conservative propaganda all over his car, like that drives around. That'd be funny. And then we get Cliff and Donna in the law library, trying to set up a sexual meeting.
The thing is just like fucking nothing, because like Cliff is coming off as a total creep, but then like Donna immediately just like trusts him because she's like, oh wait, what are you in the business of helping Leo McGarry? And then she's like, oh, you're the one who stopped the hearings, and it's like such a weird leap for her to make. And she just like instantly trusts him and is like on board. Yeah. And then after that decision, we cut to Josh and Amy at the Ritz when she's in the sexy black dress getting off. They talk about the ballet, Bosnia, and sending in the Marines. Just light stuff. Josh is obviously jelly and asking her way too many personal questions for being there in a business. Being there for business, and then and then of course, like she's obviously like, yeah, I mean, like I agree with family leave, but it's like not in the top of my priority list. Like, why are you here? Like, like she's like literally like, hey, like I know you agree with this, but like, what are you trying to get done about this? And like, why should I prioritize this over like what I'm doing right now? I've let you know, right? Like Josh is literally there to be like, you're only getting. I think it was like $20.5 million for a study on paid family leave instead of $21 million. Although why you need to study fucking paid family leave, I don't know, and why that costs.
Yeah, you don't. It's
$21 million. It's like you just look at like pretty much every other country on the earth that has paid family leave and how
you just work
people
on
are doing better there than they are here.
You just work on starting to implement it because you don't.
I could do that. I could do that study in an afternoon for like $50.
Yeah, you don't even need that. You just need like basic fucking common sense, like.
Right, and no study is going to be like, well, no, you see, actually, corporations don't want to give paid family leave, and that's why it still has to happen.
Oh no, so you can have those corporations be able to like have some bogus studies where it's like, oh, actually, you know what? Like people are happier when they work like 60 hours a week.
Right.
Like people love
it's actually better when you have a new child and yet you spend like the first 5 months of their life at work instead of with that child. So
right. Obviously, I mean, actually, you gotta toughen your kids up like that. Actually, like your parents not being around while you're being raised, like that's actually like that's good for the American society.
Yeah. All these latchkey kids are doing great, so we're going to keep that going.
By the way, $100 shotguns at Walmart. So, oh yeah, but then she starts getting real with them about like, why the fuck you here? Like you know this is a nonsense problem. Why, like, and then he's all just like, why the fuck you here then? Meet me here. And she's like, I gave you the chance to do
I thought you had like something important to talk about, you fuck. Like,
and you obviously don't. And I didn't want to like go with you right away because you're hit and run Josh. Like you're always like talking to all these bitches. And it's like, it's like, yeah, let me keep my fucking options open, motherfucker.
Right.
Like, and if you want to ask, if you want to ask me out, ask me out. Like, don't.
And I think she even was it last episode when we meet her. It's like she's like, no, the rumor around town is that you're fucking your secretary.
Yeah,
which is also like a valid concern for someone who like is thinking about getting in a relationship with.
Because honestly, if you look at them from the outside looking in, it would you would definitely I would think.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like 10 points. And of course, like the way he gets a phone call from Donna right then, which sounds like they're fucking like, and it's totally like okay, I'll get out of here.
It did not sound like a serious political issue. It sounded like he was talking to his girlfriend.
Yes,
sure.
it sounded like, why are you talking to? It's like, oh yeah, I'm being possessive. Like you're totally being possessive about her. You're wondering where she is. It's like, yeah, the whole thing. But of course, he says he has to leave on some business. He can't talk about it.
He's also making eyes at the waitress this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this entire thing is trying to make Bradley Whitford is fine, but they're trying to make Bradley Whitford seem like a lot more attractive than he actually is.
Yeah, well, and it just sucks because all these scenes are like they're the Sorkin power, like they're the power fantasy.
Yeah, they are. If you're smart and if you're a smart mid-level government functionary, like everyone around you just finds you irresistible.
Right. Right. Like the biggest fantasy where it's like, no, like you're paying hookers to like step on you and like degrade you because like like you deserve this, and like this is the only way that you're going to be able to like have that satisfaction. Besides, like that won't destroy your political career, but like it will. But non-politically.
Oh, and then all right. So the next scene is Sam talking about the importance of truth, right? With CJ and Toby, right? Where they're in CJ's office.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, no, sorry, that made me clear. But Sam is talking about the truth is important, and we have to stand up for the truth and tell the truth, while Josh is literally having secret meetings to maintain the lie.
Yeah.
The lie that Leo McGarry has been sober for 10 years. Yeah. That is a lie. Leo McGarry has not been sober for 10 years. He fell off the wagon while being engaged in like high-level political work, but that is an embarrassing truth. So the entire White House is trying to hide that fact, while Sam does like peons about how important the absolute truth is in American public life.
Well, and that's the thing. You have to appear to be transparent. You have to appear to just like, oh, well, here's my physical that's by like a corrupt motherfucking doctor who will say literally anything about me.
Right. And the entire thing is, the entire reason why Leo's lie is coming out is because the president lied about his health for also like 6 years.
But it's like, apparently we just got a staff that's like, you're allowed to lie about. Like, it's like, I don't identify as an alcoholic anymore. Like, yeah. I do like in theory, but then like actually when I'm having some fun, I don't quite identify as
right.
Alcoholic. Or some days I do have MS. But like when I'm like running for president on stage, I do not have MS. I am Superman. I fuck like Batman versus Superman. All right, and then Josh and Leo meet up with Cliff. Josh pushes Leo to like just take the deal. Don't have your shit get out. History forgets. And then there's the Andrew Jackson comparison with
no one gives a fuck about Andrew Jackson.
No one does. And then Sam is in we cut to Sam is war rooming with to CJ and Toby. Freaking out about this until CJ like starts snapping at him, which I thought she was like jazz clapping, but she starts singing "Keep Cool Crazy," but she's some jazz thing.
And
Keep Cool Toby, Crazy Boy.
I don't know what game Toby was watching, but having watched the Packers on Monday, I definitely understood what he was talking about. Of like that guy who was like 1 for 23 from the free throw line. And like, why would you let this guy keep on throwing? I think you were talking about a basketball game, but I have a note about Jordan Love here. So
about that lob he had at the end.
Yeah,
that, like, they didn't have to make.
Jordan Love was literally like, I think at the time he made that last interception, Jordan Love was like 2 for 6 with 2 picks on throws over 10 yards. So, like, instead of developing a quick game, we're just continuing to lob it down the field at the end of the game.
See, Tim, I knew it because I was listening to this game that Tom Grossi. I was listening to the game.
Oh, Tom Grossi is.
But here's the thing, Tim. I swear to God, like, I was in this factory where I heard there's all this noise going on, but I could swear I could hear a muffled fuck, like, from some distance away. Like, so I knew that that must have been yourself. So,
of course, yes.
Never been, because I could visually see it too. It's just like of course, like, why would you throw it in the end zone when they need 5 yards?
Right, exactly. It was the end of the game, whatever. Like, they had time. You didn't have to make that throw. Also, Christian Watson, you're fucking like a foot taller than the guy. Go up, whatever. It's fine.
It's bad throw. It's a bad throw.
It's a bad throw.
And you don't have to play hero ball.
No, not in that situation.
And that's an important lesson, Sam. You don't have to play hero ball.
Yeah, back to politics, Sam. You don't have to play hero ball here.
Because, like, you might fuck your entire team. Like,
and maybe Toby's entire point was, why do we let Sam still do politics stuff when he's like 1 for 23?
Shouldn't we have this conversation of, like, isn't, like, Sam the speechwriter from the campaign, like, from, like, the campaign for him to become president, and, like, maybe shouldn't we hire a new speechwriter to, like, deal with this whole, like, MS problem?
All these people, we talked about this at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen in real life is the entire staff would have resigned, and they would have brought in a new staff to be like, we're not the ones who were, like, running a false campaign. We're the new people. And
it seems kind of like Sam's the type of character where he's the type of speechwriter where he would be really good for, he has his inspirational message. He's somebody you've never heard of, but, like, now he's great. Like, he seems like he'd be good for, like, Barack Obama's first campaign in 2008 versus, like, his 2012 campaign, which is, like, still was different. I would imagine you'd have different speeches.
It was a lot more tired. His 2012 campaign. And it was an entirely different campaign staff.
Yeah.
Because those people worked for Clinton, they became bank lobbyists, they got Obama elected, and then they became bank lobbyists higher up the food chain than they were. By 2012, they were all gone.
So then the next crop come in and work for Chase in the future.
Exactly. The Biden administration staff has already been turned over. Like, this is how it works.
Yep. This is how it works. But yeah, that Sam doesn't have to prove himself. Well, I mean, maybe Sam's trying to show he's not expendable. He should be gone by now. Getting a nice bank job or getting a nice job with another law firm and lie some people about some votes. Yeah.
He should be on the path to become a Jordan, making like 6 figures to hang out in some old dude's office all day.
That's where it's to have him, like, weirdly flirt with you and try to have some, like, awkward relationship that you really shouldn't have. While it's like, of course, it's like, you're trying to hide the president's got MS, that you're an alcoholic and you actually had a relapse in front of other people, and now you're trying to, like, fuck your attorney, like, while I'm defending you. Okay, cool. Amy is then in front. Yeah, Amy then shows up at Josh's doorstep, like, straight out of a Korean drama, where she's the dude. And
you keep going to Korean drama. I think this is also just really like 1990s, like, Hollywood romantic comedy.
I can see that because I only mention Korean drama because it's Carmen. My
right. I know that's
a lot of them
more in the zeitgeist right now for sure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But it's just this whole thing of the waiting in front of the person's, like, doorstep, because you don't have cell phones, but of course, waiting for them before they get home. That's a romantic gesture. It's like not seen as stalkerish at that time.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it makes me think about, like, well, we're, like, white vans just, like, cool in, like, the 40s. Like, we're white vans just like it's just like, that's just the milkman. Like, that unmarked.
That's just the milkman. Yeah. Milkman, newspaper guy. Like, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, yeah, that's just the milkman. And this, oh, he hands out candy. Oh, cool. Like, what a
Candy
guy.
man, yeah.
And she says she wants another $500,000. She's like, you said you're gonna give me like $2,000 in research fund. Like, you go at like $200,000.
Right, yeah. It's like her cute little line. You owe me $500,000 in a drink.
Yeah,
I paid for the drink. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then they end up kissing her. She tells him not to talk.
Which apparently they said they went to college together. I don't remember that.
They went to college. She dated his roommates in college.
Okay, that's why. So no, that's the thing. He wants to get that catch that he didn't have before. She's totally right, and I don't get like what's with this strong feminist woman, like who works for this fucking like NGO, like all on her own, and she wants and like she just told this dude like, yeah, well, like you're literally like, hit and run Josh, like that's literally like what the kind of dude you are. I like sized you up, and she's right. She's not wrong.
Yeah, and Josh gives a speech about how like, I'm not that smart, so I had to study all the time when I was at Harvard, and I never learned how to talk to women. So my being an asshole is just like some like semi-autistic shit, and then that she finds that good enough to kiss him, I think.
Well, and it's so weird because that would, to me, if I were a woman, especially like a smart woman, like they're trying to write this person, like, because they write her just as dumb all of a sudden, where it's just like, oh, well, I guess you're cute. Like, where it's just like, well, no, that's like another red flag where it's like this, oh, you're this insecure nerd that like seeks powerful positions. Like, nah, that's like 200% American Psycho. Like that is like, not good. That is incel bait right there. Like, no fucking way. But that's the thing. Sorkin writes these women like their
brains disappear whenever he needs them to.
Yeah, pretty much. Then we have Bartlett in Leo's office. He asks Leo to come in. President, and Bartlett just tells him like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'll get censored by Congress. So
he reveals he's been like on the phone with House leadership and shit, and it's already done. And Leo is still trying to be like, no.
Trying to fall on the sword so nobly, Leo. So noble. After you try like getting your old man dick into your attorney.
And Bartlett has to like take him by the shoulders to be like, Leo, this storyline is done. Okay. The storyline is done. I was wrong. Okay. And instead of going like an entire season to get there, we're getting there in 10 episodes and it's done.
He's like, no, Leo, it's moral. It's moral to admit you did wrong because the public is so used to politicians always avoiding their mistakes that this is going to be a breath of fresh air. It's going to be
while we hide the fact that you did fall off the wagon 4 years ago, and what you told the public in your press conference last year was false.
So instead of saying I was wrong, you should say I got caught.
Yeah,
that's what happened. I got caught.
You got caught. I got caught. We're in a tricky situation here. We're moving on.
It's the same thing you say to the cop, like when you get pulled over for speeding. You're just like, well, when you go to court about it, you don't say, oh, I got caught. You say, yeah, I did it. I was wrong.
I was wrong.
I shouldn't have done that. Do you do it any other times? Like, oh, I don't know, really. No, not really. Like, no.
I always go, I was following the flow of traffic, but I guess in this instance, I was wrong, and I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Take those points off my license, even though everyone else always does it. And
exactly. Like all those fucking million speed traps they have between Milwaukee and Kenosha these days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Racine, really. Like, that's the one I watch.
Yeah.
Just be safe in Racine. But then it ends with the president complaining about his map, but how he can't put that up anywhere. Which I know, like these damn maps of some of these places getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And they fade out with the president looking outside, and I guess a session of Congress being held via audio, and that's that starts looming over the background.
To finalize House Concurrent Resolution 172, which is the name of the episode.
Yes, which they will be censoring the president, which he can't say anything in Congress. And how will the president ever communicate? It's not like he's got a staff that's like paid for by
right. Well, and he's literally about to give the State of the Union, which, all right, the next episode literally completely undermines any last scrap of consequence. We're not covering it in detail,
No.
so I just want to raise this point. It's a dumb episode about Sam and Josh's love life.
Yeah.
But then, like, he gives the State of the Union, and at first it's like, oh no, people don't like him anymore because he was censored by Congress. And then the ending of the episode is like, oh no, actually, halfway through the speech, everyone loved him again, so everything's fine.
So, like a big old, hey, we worried about literally not, we made a fake issue.
Like, yeah, the show loves undermining its own tension in order to have like a momentary like hit of that stirring music.
That's what happens when you write the entire storyboard around the score. It just it gets a little weird. It's like, why do we have this military episode here? I'm gonna start listening for that. Like, I'm gonna try to listen for like, oh, like, do they have to have like these dramatic moments like all in the Situation Room because they have like these great bits of like music that they need to use for this that like sound way more militant that like they can't use for like, hey, like Josh is going this, or else like they'll have like this dramatic music that they'll really, really need to use like for something that just seems like a bit more sinister, and that's why they need to make these like, you know, like the scene where like Leo gets up like hungover, and it's like, you know, like the way that kind of sounds, where it's like kind of like discorded and a little, you know, it makes you like off kilter and it's a little like sad,
yeah,
you know, that type of thing, versus something where, oh, the type of music that sounds sinister, like Donna's getting a phone call from the GOP drug dealer Cliff. He's like, hey Donna, you want to buy some Blue Chew? How about this? How about this? How about I sell you an offer for some gold? It never loses value, Donna. It's backed. The US dollar isn't backed by gold anymore. Gold lasts. Hey Donna, you ever hear of Alpha Brain?
Alpha Brain. You don't want to be a secretary all your life, Donna. Take some Alpha Brain.
Take some Alpha Brain. And then also sponsored by Keeps and
oh shit.
It's okay. It's okay. We got our advertisers that were like are never gonna come on here anyway. Like if any ever do at all. But yeah, no, honestly, the second episode kind of came to be nothing, but I was having technological issues trying to watch it. And eventually when I did get it on, it was a lot of nothing issues. I was also seeing this too, that like CJ had like a bunch of nothing issues to deal with.
Yeah, CJ had nothing to do with the entire thing with Sam, like following around, like being his ex-girlfriend was doing a profile on him for Vanity Fair. I had a meter of I had a star meter, a star counter for every time I wanted to slap Sam. And I started like a good halfway through the episode and still ended up with like 3, 6, 9, 10 times I wanted to reach through my screen and slap Sam Seaborn.
It is really amazing how much I see him in like Parks and Rec now, and then I'm going back.
He's so good in Parks and Rec,
right? He's hilarious in it, and it's like, and like I love his character in that so much more.
Yeah, so like this is nothing against Rob Lowe. This is just about Sam Seaborn.
Yes, no, it's against Aaron Sorkin. Like that. Yeah. That's who our fucking.
Really, yes. Absolutely,
because it's like his disrespect for these people he creates, where he's just like, oh, well, they're a fucking tool. Like there's no real life to them, and it's because I think at the core of what this show is, it's very issue driven more than character driven, and there's parts where it's character driven, which is the strange thing, because it's just like, well, most of the writing and most like the parts I think that the fans are remembering that so far of this is just like, oh, it's like when these people like have these debates and discuss this issue, which usually boil down to like these actors perform, like Richard Schiff or Martin Sheen or
Allison Janney going the fuck off.
Right. Like, yeah, like just these, I mean, yeah, these actors really just like giving a dialogue a good back and forth and giving an amount of fire and flair that you'd see in like, you know, like the type of passion you see in these type of debates.
Yeah.
But then, like, when it comes to like these people's day to day and like, hashing these people out as a character, if it's not like a deep character analysis on something like, something like Leo's drinking or something, or I guess the other example for Toby is like that one little like religious episode. No, Toby's got these weird ones too, where it's like, he cares about that, like Mr. Danton from Ohio or whatever, where he was obsessed about one guy who like didn't get in through voting. And it's like, yeah, it's weird. It's weird character analysis. It's like where you don't really have them hashed out and you don't really know what these people are about. So you make them about the issues rather than like, it's about their family or like their own flaws or their own personal life. Like the most relatable one I've seen is just like with Leo with the drinking. Is like that's that's the most I would say probably working people would relate to that.
Yeah, and like Jonathan Spence, who played Leo, was a recovering addict himself. So like that shit came from like real pathos from his own life too.
Right, right. And and that's all. Or even with and this is like the big climax of the last season was Martin
Sheen yelling at God in the cathedral, like one of my favorite scenes in television. Honestly, it's fucking great.
No, it really is. It's a great speech. It's a great monologue by this person. Like it really, that's what really sells it all. But and I feel like that was probably had nothing to do with it in the beginning. Like at the beginning of like writing the second season, that probably like wasn't thought that was going to be like the big great moment, but like it became one because it just became like such a good setting and such a good scene, and it came from such an emotional place where it was real. And I think
that's interesting to note that like the fact that Bartlett is about Catholic came from Martin Sheen too. He was like, I want President Bartlett to have been like a Notre Dame grad who's like a devout Catholic, because I'm a devout Catholic and that's something I can bring to the character.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I can respect that because it's at least it's like,
and it works. Like you get scenes like that and it fucking works.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, especially over a subject like, which I'm sure people have all experienced, losing a loved one unexpectedly like that. And like it's, but that's where, I don't know. It's one of those things where, when actors kind of like end up making something more their own as it gets in. I think that's the strength of the show. Like that. What's not
the strength of the show is long-term plotting. This entire MS storyline has fallen off, and so I guess we will keep watching to see what kind of long-term storyline takes its place. Let me see what episode.
I wonder if it's something to do with foreign policy.
Could be.
I'm interested to see how badly he tries to like write off the Republicans as being dumb for just like, oh no, I guess we all just like forgot about this. And because I know you see early on they were running so hard at just like, yes, like the president's a liar. We're gonna have like all this like plot time devoted to just like, no, the president stands for truth, and like, so what, he lied about this thing, who cares? Like just in light of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. But yeah, all that became pretty after about a year.
Yeah. All right. So, looking at this list, I think we should cover episode 12, the two Bartletts, and episode 13, which is called Night 5.
Night 5. Two Bartletts and Night 5. They love their numerical titles.
They do.
Tell you that, Mr. Sorkin. Well, yeah, I guess that really just does it for us, folks. But until next time.